Welcome back to Chronicle. We've discussed the transferring and open enrollment. There are pros and cons to both sides. Activity directors across the state have seen that impact firsthand on athletics. We sat down with a few of those ADs to discuss the changes they've seen over the last few years and some of the potential changes to help fix those issues that we can expect to see implemented in the near future. Whether it's football, basketball, soccer, or any sport in between, the change in the high school sports landscape is apparent throughout the state of Nebraska.
I think there's a few different factors. One, the popularity of club sports. Club sports offer all kinds of great opportunities to kids that maybe we didn't have 15, 20 years ago.
Along with club sports, you add the landscape of college athletics in the new world of NIL.
It's a little bit of a trickle-down effect from colleges. There's a lot of movement in the colleges now with NIL money and with kids, just moving, quitting in the middle of the year. High school kids see that, parents see that, and probably made that talent gap wider.
The moving around of student athletes has not just made it hard for schools to compete on the field or on the court, but to even field a complete roster.
Well, bottom teams, they're not thinking about state championships. They're thinking about, I want to play Friday night. I want to be able to field a team. I want my kids to have a great experience.
Everybody wants some sort of solution, but I'm not sure that they can get to it right away. But the discussion and dialogue that we're having, I think, is good.
Activity directors can all agree that some sort of change is needed. The start of that change begins with football.
I think once that goes, then we'll move into some different things like basketball and soccer and other things along those lines that will follow suit pretty quickly after.
There are three different main proposals out there for change as far as the first domino to fall, that is football. The first, keeping things similar to the way it is now, but removing the district scheduling process. Schools would have more input on who they would play. The second is to create a new class, the AB class. You would take a section of Class A schools who have struggled the last few seasons, combine them with a group of Class B schools that would be struggling, and put them together to play games against each other. The third is creating two districts in Class A, an A1 group and an A2 group. A1s would play A1s and A2s would play A2s. You'd still go off wildcard points to determine who's in the playoffs. You would also not be bound to said class if the team improves or if the team begins to struggle. You could either go up or go down.
All have their pros and cons to it. The hope is that when we go back to our next round of district meetings in January that we can agree and get at least one of them through.
No schedule is ever going to be perfect, but the main goal across all districts is the same.
Whether you lose every game or win every game, how close they are is what, in terms of the score sometimes or the effort, that's really what we're looking at, is how can we kind of help in that aspect of it.
Looking forward to creating equal opportunities for kids across the state. As much as we can level the playing field for everybody, we'd like to do that. We know it's never going to be perfect, but as much competitive equity as we can get is the end goal, I think, of everybody involved in this process of change.
On the topic of competitive equity, in late November, a competitive equity committee that extends across the entire state gave a presentation here in Omaha to school board employees from around the state. The presentation went over the thorough work the committee did, traveling to every district in Nebraska to gain feedback on what schools feel are the biggest issues plaguing athletics. As they listened and took in feedback, it is now a two-phase process and a step forward toward competitive equity. Phase one, which we're currently in, operationalized the current bylaw allowing teams to opt down. Phase two, work to assist schools beyond classification and eligibility.
Ultimately, phase two, which I talked about, which was the larger of the phases in terms of making the more effect change and really trying to impact students and activities and participation in activities and member school experience, and whether that's through coach retention, whether that's through education, whether that's through trying to improve participation rates. We really feel our long-term work will complement our phase one approach.
There were several ADs.
Now, the committee reiterates that they are about all kids, all programs, all the time, and the focus is not just primarily on football. Now, to discuss that long-term competitive equity plan, I'm joined by Mitchell Stein, Norris's assistant principal and AD, and activities director Jeff Johnson with the NSAA. Thanks for joining us today, guys. I really appreciate you. I know this is something you guys are both pretty passionate about.
Yep. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Mitchell, we'll start with you, the competitive equity side of things. We just mentioned it's a two-phase process. Take us through that phase one and working on that current bylaw allowing schools to opt out and what that looks like here right now.
Yeah, so phase one, as mentioned, was a bylaw that was passed by the membership last year, and everybody recognized the fact that it wasn't operationalized. It wasn't able to be implemented in the way that it was intended. And so a group of ADs and administrators around the state got together and helped the NSAA and the classification committee to do just that. And where our large majority of our work has been since last April and May when it passed was going out and getting feedback from member schools. We traveled the state, as you mentioned. We went to every district in Nebraska, approximately 35 meetings with conference schools, probably generated 99% of the member schools' feedback. And then, as you mentioned, 4 or 5 presentations to various stakeholders, whether it was school board members, administrators, principals, ADs. And so our goal this semester has been and always will be to just listen really well. We want to know what the member schools feel about it. Obviously, they passed it last year, and we're wanting change in some capacity. And so our job, again, was to listen to their feedback specifically and try to implement a bylaw that makes sense to them.
And Jeff, part of the committee's why is to enact meaningful change. For you guys, what does meaningful change look like here moving forward?
You know, I think it starts with just the process that we've gone through to get to this point. The NSA is a membership-driven organization. So the only thing that can enact change are our membership or our board. So when this was passed last spring, like Mitchell said, they recognized that it wasn't operational. So they took it upon themselves, Dave Hawksworth, Matt Martin from Crete, Dave Hawksworth from Scottsbluff, they took it upon themselves to lead a group and go around the state and collect feedback. So that piece of it really shows how the membership-driven works within our organization. The other piece is we want to create something that's sustainable and something that's easy for schools to fill out. They're going to come before a committee, they're going to present their case. Some of it's going to be quantitative data and some of it's going to be qualitative data. So at that point, then the committee would make a decision, could they opt down and be eligible for the playoffs?
And I want to go back a little bit to some of the work that you did, Mitchell, traveling the state like that. What was some of that feedback that you heard? Again, when you're hearing from that many different districts and schools, what was some of that feedback you heard?
Yeah, I would characterize it probably in 3 areas. The first set of feedback was more of an emotional response. Hey, this is a large school issue, or vice versa, this is a small school issue, or that's not my problem type of thing. And so, again, part of our job was to listen and just hear out the member schools, whether it was frustration or whether it was ideas or whatnot. And so that was early on, that was a lot of it, was just that emotional feedback. The second part, member schools and administrators within those member schools were really engaged and interested in what the process looked like, right? They wanted to know the who, what, where, when, and why. They wanted to know the criteria that was going to be used, who was going to be on this committee. They were really in tune with what does this mean for us, and how do we go about it if we are interested in applying for it? And ultimately, some didn't want a school to, game the system, so to speak. That was a big piece of it. So I think our process has to be really sound, and we really feel like our process will be sound as a result of going out and getting all this feedback. And then the third thing, ultimately, what are we going to be judged on? As Jeff mentioned, there's going to be some quantitative pieces that are inherent in every school district, whether it's attendance rates, free and reduced lunch, demographics, participation rates, those types of things. But then also, and probably more importantly, is we want to hear their story. We want to hear that qualitative piece. What makes Norris High School what it is, or what makes Scottsbluff or Crete High School what it is? And we want those school districts, when they do come forward to apply, to share their story and what makes them unique, and why they're in front of the NSAA.
And we know we have district voting coming up here in just a couple of days. Curious, what are some of the things people can see? I know that you guys are going to be voting on here, and some of those changes that maybe parents, families can be expecting to see here in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I think a couple proposals that are germane to this topic with the classification piece of it, the Class A, B proposals and the two proposals that are part of that, and I'll let Jeff speak to that more in depth. My sense of it is I think any proposal that is trying to achieve competitive equity and provide meaningful experiences across the board for kids is a good start, right? And so as many will say, we don't have to be perfect. We don't have to find utopia right away. We just need to get a start when it comes to competitive equity. And I think there's some proposals that have merit. There's always going to be drawbacks to it. But there are proposals out there that I think are moving the needle in terms of the conversation to try to achieve competitive equity.
A little bit for you there.
Yeah, I think a big proposal that'll be decided upon in our district meetings is going to be redistricting our 6 districts. So we have an imbalance on this side of the state, Omaha and Lincoln. Those are districts 1 and 2. They have the most schools and the most students. So a proposal was put together to try to balance the schools. We can't balance the students. It's just, it's impossible to do. Mm-hmm. But we can balance the schools. So that proposal, it will roughly have around 50 schools in each of the districts. And that will be voted on in January. So that will equalize the representation across the state.
And I guess just for a quick thought from both of you, what's that 5-year plan look like when it comes to competitive equity across the state that you guys want to see get done?
I think for me, first and foremost, a really well-defined and thought-out process that we're right in the middle of right now, right? And so in 5 years, we want to look back and say there's success stories with that, and people have been able to go and state their case and tell their story. And either been approved or denied based on the merits of their particular case. And so just a really, really well thought out process. And I suspect we're getting really close to being that. And then long term, which we talk about phase 2, just improving that student experience for kids, whether that's through, again, coach retention, whether that's pairing up like-minded schools for meaningful competition. And I really feel like if we do this right and if our process is sound, we can achieve that meaningful change that we're looking for.
Yeah, I think for me, there's some things that have been exposed as we've gone through this whole process, and one of them is we're losing teacher coaches. Mm-hmm. So hopefully communities, school districts will recognize that, maybe even the state, and weigh in on that, because we want to continue to be education-based athletics and activities. We don't want to get away from that. So I think that's one thing within 5 years maybe we can look at. Coaching's become really difficult. Maybe there's some things that districts can do to make it more attractive for people to teach and coach both. So that's the big area for me. And then funding as well. I think we all know that these programs are important. Communities tell us that. Surveys tell us that. Hopefully there's the state can weigh in on that. Local communities can weigh in and provide some funding to get some programs back up and running.
Alrighty, that's all the time we got. Mitchell, Jeff, I want to thank you guys for all the work that you guys are doing and continue to do, and thank you again for your time here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, we see how the changing landscape has affected schools within OPS and what they're hoping to see change in the near future. We'll be right back.